Hello, good afternoon, my fellow Salesian youth. Thank you so much for having me. I am so happy to be here and have the opportunity to speak with you all on this year's SYG Touchdown. Thank you po, Sister Lynn, Sister Pinky. I wanted to be there in person, but unfortunately, I am stuck due to a storm in Palawan. Sayang, di tuloy ako makapag-unfreezers with you guys. Gusto ko pa naman din mag-chicken dance. Pero, yun, sorry po, pero I hope this does the job. Allow me to introduce myself kasi alam ko most of you don't know me probably kasi hindi nyo naman ako nadatnan. But my name is Lourdes Espanta or Ate Des, Ate Yai to most. And I was a student in Mary Help from 2002 to 2012 from 1st to 10th grade. Wala pa kasi kaming 11th and 12th grade nun. So, sorry, 11th and 12th graders. During my time there, like some of you, I was a PLTC, then SLTC officer, and of course, an SYM leader. During my time, SYM pa siya. SYM stands for Salesian Youth Movement. Pero ngayon, I know it's upgraded to SYG. And for my groups, I was part of the liturgical committee. I would help prepare for Holy Masses, I would lecture, and I was also part of the editorial board for Kenny. I would write articles. So Kenny members, hello. From a young age, I enjoyed learning, and as you can probably tell from all that I've mentioned above, I really enjoyed being in Mary Help. I loved coming to school and involving myself in the activities there. As I grew up, I spent more and more of my time immersed in life as an MHCN. By the time I was in grade 10, magigising ako ng mga 5 a.m. Tapos nasa school na mga 7 to 4. Tapos after nun, alam nyo na, syempre may mga meetings pa, may mga practices. And by the time I got home, gagawa lang ng homework, kakain, magsha-shower, matutulog. The next day, I do it all over again. Activities that I'm sure many of you are already doing and can relate to. So, of course, I'd have necessary breaks here and there, pero for the most part, lagi akong busy. Laging may ginagawa. There was always something to do. And for me, academics were very important, yes. But so were things like pumupunta sa bundok every Sunday, nagpe-prepare ng lesson plans for catechesis sa mga public school students, and nagpupunta sa mga workshops, sa mga seminars, sa mga leadership trainings throughout the country. And syempre yung mga big events natin like the SYD and the NYD. I really prioritized those because I thought those were equally as important and part of my formative experience there in Mary Help. So recently, pag uwi ko sa Pinas, I was talking to my cousins Liam and Jared and to my niece Keisha. And I realized that so much has already changed from the Mary Help I knew to the Mary Help you guys are experiencing now. Siyempre, mga 11 years na yon, and so much time has already passed. But throughout all of those changes, one thing has remained the same. Can anybody guess what it is? Yeah, I can't hear all of your answers, obviously, but I hope everybody said it's the Salesian Youth Spirit, or SYS. The same spirit that moved me when I was a student there is the same spirit that lives on in each and every one of you today. It's the spirit that empowers and motivates us to work and do our best in matters both simple and extraordinary. Ano nga ang sabi ni Mother Mazzarello? Do ordinary things extraordinarily well, all for the love of God. Yep. So this lesson to do everything with joy and inspiration stayed with me and guided me throughout life after MHCS. Nagmove ako sa States after being away from my parents for 10 years. And syempre, I was very happy to be with them, pero at the same time, I found myself in a completely new environment. And I was at a loss for how to go about fulfilling my dreams. Kasi bata pa lang ako, gusto ko na talaga mag-doktor. Ang dream school ko noon is Ateneo or UST. And syempre, pagdating ko doon, kinailangan kong mag-adjust, matutunang bagong culture, and syempre, iba yung process doon. Thankfully, maraming tumulong sa akin ng mga mentors, maraming nag-guide sa akin. And soon enough, I adapted and I felt more comfortable in my new environment. Nag-take ako ng college courses, I graduated from university, and I was set for medical school. I was going to fulfill my dream of becoming a doctor. Having said that, life after Mary Help wasn't without its challenges. There were a lot of times when I wondered if it was easier to give up on my dreams because there was so much being asked of me. Meron bang mga gustong mag-doktor sa inyo? Kung meron, this is not to scare you, pero just as a heads up for what is required, maraming kailangan. Siyempre, you had to have good grades, many diverse volunteer experiences, which I want to say Mary Help prepared me really well for, and letters of recommendations that speak to your character. So after ko matanggap sa med school, syempre, med school itself was still very challenging and difficult. I would study for 12 hours a day like it was my job, because it was. And syempre, yung professors namin, nire-remind kami na importante pa rin yung breaks in between to ensure that we were still taking care of our physical, mental, emotional, and social health. Kasi, believe it or not, it's not efficient to be studying for 12 hours all day. And between those 12 hours, kailangan maghanap ng time na tumayo, gumalaw, para yung mga natututunan mo, mas nare-retain mo compared sa if nakaupo ka lang doon. And I know this applies to a lot of you kasi, diba, medyo may virtual na rin kayo and in-person aspects to your education. So, my lesson that I learned at that time, movement is good for the mind, the body, and the soul. Additionally, because it was medical school, there was a lot of pressure to perform among students who were really smart. There were moments of insecurities, times when I felt like maybe, pwede ba ako dito? Like I wasn't cut out for my chosen career. Siyempre, pag mahirap yung ginagawa mo, hindi lang pagdodoktor, kahit ano pa yan, minsan hindi naman maiiwasan na i-doubt mo yung sarili mo. Magtatanong ka kung kaya mo ba, kung kakayanin mo ba. And for me, personally, what helped was to remind myself that I am not competing against anybody. I want to do my best to become a good doctor for my future patients and for the young kid in me who's dreamed of this opportunity for so long. The next lesson I learned here was that every movement, every action, for whatever you do, make sure you have the right motivations, that you have the right reasons. And of course, all of this for the love of God. And I tell you all of this now, my dear fellow Salesian youth, because one day soon you will also have to leave the walls of our beloved home away from home. When you do, trust in your foundations, in the teachings you gathered and took to heart while you're here. Live and do all things with purpose, commitment, and joy. Kaya magdodoktor ka, mag-engineer ka, mag-architecture, mag-culinary, you will all have different paths to walk. But remember that no matter where you go, the Salesian youth spirit, the SYM, SYG family, binds us and is something that will always stay with you and something we will always have together. Allow it to move through you and guide you in the daily, and you will find that the grace of God will always follow. I hope to visit the school in person at some point, and if I get to see some of you, please say hi at that time. Thank you po again, Sister Lynn, Sister Pinky, for the opportunity to speak today, and I hope you guys have a great SYG Touchdown. Good afternoon, and thank you for listening.